Yeah, so by the time we're ready to be made, every ground can come off.
We're taking along technologies that will be important for future exploration. Things like being able to make oxygen from the atmosphere on Mars. If you can make oxygen, you can create obviously oxygen to breathe for astronauts, but also oxygen that can be used as fuel to return people to the Earth. So it's an important technology for human exploration. We're going to be landing with a new technology called terrain relative navigation, which allows us to avoid hazards. This is also a feed-forward technology that's important for future both robotic and human exploration. We're going to be taking microphones with us. For the first time, we're going to have that human sense on another planet. We've had cameras many times, or sight, I suppose, but we've never really heard our environment on Mars. And I think it's going to be exciting to hear the entry, descent, and landing activities on the spacecraft and hear the wheels turning on the surface of Mars. I think it will give the project a sense of presence for people, and I hope that's exciting to people as well. Everybody knows the story of how we landed on the moon and the first steps on the moon, but a lot of people don't understand that there were robotic precursors to those Apollo missions, and they were very critical in paving the way for those next steps. And I think very much of Mars 2020 in the same vein. I think it's in the same category. We're taking technologies to Mars and improving those technologies that are important for that future human exploration. I think everybody involved in the project and associated with the mission has said to me that I've talked to, boy, you couldn't have named this thing any better since we've had to deal with the pandemic. And as I said before, when it hit, it was kind of like walking into a dark, blind alley. You just didn't know what was out there in front of you. And so it took some faith to go forward, and a determination to deal with whatever came your way. And I think that's the definition of perseverance, right? I mean, that's what you need to do to get through this kind of thing. And I think everybody that I've talked to has said the same thing, which is you just couldn't have named this thing any better. The Mars 2020 community was not the only group facing this. As I said, the community and the country and around the globe, everybody had to deal with this. I asked the team a couple months ago if they would like to do something to kind of symbolize and mark these challenges that we faced, and they designed something that we called a COVID-19 Perseverance Plate. This is a plate that's now affixed to the port side of the rover. It has a symbol of a globe representing all of us that face this challenge together, the spacecraft leaving the Earth on its way to Mars, and all of this supported by the now familiar staff and servant of the medical community. The community that was really on the front lines, keeping us safe. And they really inspired us, I think, through this period, and we hope that this plate and we hope that this mission, in some small way, can inspire them in return.
When we think about our role as the first leg of a potential Mars sample return campaign, I personally, and I think I can speak for the science team on this, we take the responsibility to put together a compelling cache of samples that is worthy of return to Earth. We take that very seriously, and we know that there is a lot riding on Mars sample return, money-wise, effort-wise, commitment from the government and the public, and it's our job on Mars 2020 to collect a compelling cache of samples that is worthy of all of that time, money, and effort. And I take that responsibility very seriously, and I, it's the kind of thing that keeps me up at night. Are we going to do what we need to do to justify the effort that we've put behind this? Yeah, so Jezero crater is unique on Mars. It's a unique place, and it's a very special place. And we know now, thanks to previous orbiter missions and rover missions, that there are a lot of craters on the surface of Mars that could have once hosted ancient lakes, and we have evidence that that's true. But not every lake or crater that we think had a lake actually preserves evidence that that lake was there. In Jezero, we have probably one of the most beautifully preserved delta deposits on Mars in that crater, in Jezero crater, for us to study and to rove. And we can see that. We also know, thanks to the geography there, we have an inlet valley and an outlet valley. So we know that this crater basically filled up like a bathtub. Water flowed in, water flowed out.
You always expect to run into some mishaps, challenges, anomalies as you're putting the vehicle together. You do your best to avoid them, but you know you're going to run into them, and so you try to react quickly and move forward. There's usually something that hits every mission that you don't expect, and by far and away, the one that got in our way here was the COVID pandemic that really started to ramp up and hit us just about the time the Atlo team was getting ready to ship the flight spacecraft down to Florida for final processing and launch. So
at this time, Mars Helicopter Ingenuity is fully integrated on the rover. The helicopter is stowed under the belly pan of the rover and has been checked out to be fully operational in the configuration that is going to be launched and operated in space. So with the helicopter ready for launch, our team is now working on preparing for operations after launch. We are updating our tools, our simulations, and rehearsing for the scenarios that we're going to encounter.